He's the love-matic grandpa, the wise Socratic grandpa, and he fills our hearts with love.
That is a really good bit.
It is.
Willkommen.
Bienvenue.
Come on in.
Der und Podcast Start hierbei.
Great.
Und Star Trek Podcast.
I'm doing all the languages now.
Und. Isn't that a German word? Und?
Yes, it means and.
Oh, there you go. It doesn't mean an.
No.
What is an in German?
It depends on the case.
Yeah.
Schadenfreude.
Let's say eine. Let's say eine, just for the sake of argument.
Poopentag.
Poopentag. Oh no.
Poopentag.
I'd Google that, but I'm afraid I'd find some horrifying German porn.
Definitely porn.
A German person once
Google
told me that
anything,
the closest direct translation of Poopentag would be Day of the Puppet.
Ah. That sounds adorable.
Is Jake blowing shit out his ass?
No, now I'm going to Google Poopentag.
What else is new?
I don't think it's a real word, but he was like, poopin'.
Yeah, and this is how you would say the puppet day.
Oh, here's something called Poopentag Misselbach.
Gesundheit, I assume.
Oh, the International Puppen. It's some kind of big annual puppetry festival.
Nice.
Anyway, let's get on with our show.
All right, here we go.
Puppets.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.
Hello, and welcome to A Star to Steer by Star Trek Podcast. I am your host, Jake, and I'm joined by co-hosts,
Chris.
This is Ames.
And this is Caitlin.
and this is Jake. And welcome to A Star to Steer by a Star Trek Podcast.
Uh-oh.
My name is Jake.
This is Chris.
I'm your host, and I am joined by
Chris.
Ames.
Caitlin.
and Jake. And welcome to A Star to Steer by.
This is Ames.
This is some Groundhog's Day shit. What is going on?
Well,
Ooh,
it just
can
so
I make Harold
happens
Ramis?
that we're doing
Yes.
a Groundhog Day inspired episode today.
Oh,
think
so
that's
I was right
very-
on the money, huh?
That's what the foreskin's about.
How so?
Well, have you ever had foreskin?
No, I never have, sadly.
I had.
No, happily.
I had very briefly.
Well, surely you were born
I don't
with it.
remember it. It's gone now.
Unless there's something I don't know about you. You weren't born with it.
Do you think you could tan foreskins
I don't
like
know.
leather and make a belt?
I don't know, but if you can, I'm sure Jeffrey Dahmer tried.
So, what is The Forsaken actually about, Jake?
Well, we're actually not just doing The Forsaken today.
That's true.
We're also doing another episode of Star Trek NX9,
A Next Generation.
Deep Space Nine,
Balls
called
Deep 9. Dramamine.
Dramatis.
Dermatitis.
Mm-hmm.
Penance.
Oh, come now, you've read a lot of plays. You know what that says.
Dramatis Personae! We're doing those two episodes. But first, we'll talk about The Forsaken. Well, The Forsaken.
What can you say about The Forsaken?
What can you say? The Forsaken is an episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine, in which we have some distinguished guests visiting the station, and it is a bunch of distinguished guests and Majel Barrett as Loxana Troi.
Looking fine.
Holy shit, her pink hair.
Our hot
liked
mama.
I did too, I loved it.
And she's
Love
got,
that blue
and does
dress.
I
she
want that
got
bitch
the
to be my
huts for
girlfriend.
Odo? Oh no!
But I mean, to be fair, who doesn't?
Yeah, she wants him badly, and
She can be any shape she
and
wants.
she sabotages the entire station to get her way by
surely
impersonating the computer.
Okay, that's good. All right, well done.
So anyway, so meanwhile, the computer's on Fritz. O'Brien's
Who's Fritz?
been trying to fix it, but shit's all fucked. And it turns out that there was some kind of alien probe sort of deal that fucked up the computer a little bit.
Yeah, they downloaded it without having virus protection.
It's the old Iconian scenario here.
Well,
Can you believe these fucking boomers not using their antivirus software?
Well, see, the Cardis said their subscription in Norton was up to date, and the Federation stupidly believed them.
Yeah, so it's not really...
They called them and were like, hi, we're calling from Microsoft. We want to make sure that your computer is safe. And they were like, okay, here's my password.
It's not really a virus so much as it is a persona. Like, like a creature.
A Dramatis Persona?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, that's the other
That's
one.
next time. No, it's like
It was a good
an
try,
entity gets itself into the computer and is being a little bitch.
It's like a little pup.
And they come up with all these analogies that don't actually work.
Not one.
Like a balloon has too much air in it and something bad happens.
So needless to say, that that whole plot is a setup to get
Majel
Barrett and Odo stuck in an elevator together so that they can connect and get to know each other, and it works. And in the end, they become friends.
Don't forget the Bashir plot, Jake.
Oh yeah, Bashir has been tasked by Cisco to escort around the other ambassadors who are a bunch of assholes.
The worst.
And Bashir can't take it anymore, so he sets up an explosion trying to kill them all, including himself, which is shocking.
He's not Dax.
But that fails, so he ends up rescuing them instead, which in hindsight was a much better plan to begin with.
Was it?
And yeah, that was terrible. Yeah, really, the only thing good about this episode is our elevator romance.
I sort of forgot there even was another part, like, because literally today, I think online, I said to Chris, like, oh, I really liked that Majel Barrett episode, and he was like, I don't know, the other plot was kind of bad, and I was like, there was another plot.
Yeah, no,
there were two other plots.
What? I don't remember them at all.
This episode.
You're lucky.
They just needed to cut away. They needed to have something to cut away to, so they wouldn't be exclusively in the elevator.
Or so that we could all pretend that
Yeah.
they were having sex.
I'd say any scene that wasn't those two was shit.
It was,
It's like...
Why is any of this Bashir's job? He's the doctor. He should be busy doctoring.
Yeah, like, send the awkward nerd. That's a good idea.
Is it just him being punished for being a creep all the time?
I think it's just... It sounds like it's just typical hazing of the, like, lowest ranking senior staff member.
But he's the CMO. But he should not be his job.
But he's so good at his job that there are no sick people.
And here's some horseshit, right? So Cisco basically says to Bashir, like, hey, Bashir's like, why are you doing this to me? And Cisco's like, oh, I'm doing it to you because Dax used to punish me by making me do this. Why doesn't Bashir be like, then why don't you make Dax do this fucking shit?
Oh my god, that's brilliant!
That would have been great.
If Dax forced you to do this, why are you forcing me and not her?
I mean, really, it's that they needed another thing in this plot, and they couldn't come up with something. So they're like, well, we got Loxana here. Let's have some other ambassadors to find something to do with them. Is there anything to do with them? No, not really. Let's just have them chill and hang out.
Yeah, but, like, having that fucking story about Dax, about Curzon Dax, hazing Cisco by making him do entertain the ambassadors, but not having the payoff of it being Cisco getting revenge.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they needed Dax in the science area.
Yeah.
Doing science. Because of this whole sentient program?
The whole thing with Pup was so... Like, to say it was half-baked would be an insult to half-baked things.
It was raw cookie dough, but not as tasty.
Yeah,
it was raw cookie dough that actually gives you salmonella.
It was raw cookie dough that they forgot to put sugar or chocolate chips in.
Oh, I put salt once or baking soda instead of sugar.
Oh.
No, actually, I'm sorry. No, I didn't. I just put several times the amount I was supposed to. Like, it was supposed to be 3 teaspoons and I used 3 tablespoons, or it was something to that effect, and those are some salty ass cookies. No. It was very upsetting.
I just, okay, clearly they just wanted to get those two stuck in an elevator.
Mm-hmm.
They've already established repeatedly this season that this station is falling apart.
Yes.
They didn't need...
They've even established that the computer and O'Brien don't get along.
Yeah, like, they could have just had it be like, fuck, everything broke.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't need
But
this...
instead, it's Pup.
Yeah, this bizarre outside thing.
That I'm sure we'll never hear from again.
Not at all. I mean, I guess you technically had to have the other ambassadors there because... You really didn't. You could have just... I mean,
I actually kind of didn't mind the other ambassadors' plot.
Being a dick to Bashir for no reason?
Yeah, because
it was nice that it paid off for him. Because
basically, paid off for him.
Oh yeah, he got laid in that orgy at the end.
Well, but I just mean like Cisco was like, sometimes it's about being in the right place at the right time and yada yada yadas.
That is such a cramped orgy. It's a chip.
There's no way you're not inside somebody in there.
Wow.
Holy shit, Chris turned beet red.
Dude, don't kill Chris.
It wasn't even that funny.
No.
I thought it was pretty funny.
It's the image in Chris's head that's funny, and we don't get to see it.
Well, it's also because, like, I don't know, I guess from one of those two, it's like, of course, but you so rarely go the blue route. It's just an extra layer of delightful.
It's true, it is special, especially special when you make a crude joke.
Awesome, I'm glad. I'm glad to be here for an occasional Bashir is a man horror joke.
Oh.
Is he? Or does he just aspire to man horror-y?
I don't know, it sounds like he flirts with everyone, and I'm sure some of them put out.
There's a lot that doesn't make sense in this episode.
There's only so many people on that space station, though,
So they couldn't beam them out.
People are visiting all the time.
So it was very convenient. They couldn't beam them out.
Yeah.
Right.
Why couldn't they just go into a runabout and beam them out from the runabout?
Oh.
They have other fucking
question.
ships.
They have, because they have
with transporters that aren't part of the computer on the station.
Well, I mean, they probably couldn't do that because then there'd be no plot.
Well, obviously. It's also very convenient. It's obvious.
He says.
Well, it's also very convenient that there's live electrical wires everywhere, so you can't do like the one thing that you're fucking good at. Yeah. Oh no, sorry.
Oh, he's good at lots of things.
I kept thinking if he really wanted to avoid Luoxana, he would just morph himself into a glass or a painting or something and just hang out quietly.
Yeah, but with his luck,
not
she
interact.
But she would just like,
put the glass
put
up
him
herself.
in places.
Yeah. Every 16 hours, I have to turn into a dildo.
Luoxana's like,
and I'm on hour 15.
Oh my god, it's the porn parody, the foreskin. This is perfect.
Oh man,
wow.
They could even, let's go to an aquarium and get one of them penis fish.
Oh god, they're so gross.
Those things.
Yeah, it's interesting because it was like, I was like, okay, so here comes Luoxana.
Yeah.
And it was like, which Luoxana are we getting though?
And
Good
she starts out
Luoxana.
annoying.
Yep, but by the end we get...
Oh, the end is so good.
That
her
whole
wig scene is amazing. It was the one thing I remember from this episode.
Sweet.
And I was like, oh man, good. The wig episode with Luoxana is coming up. This is probably going to be one of my favorites. And I'm like, yep. Oh, but there's this other plot that's stupid, and it's way done the rest of the episode. And now this episode literally is one good scene and a lot of crap.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think everything with Luoxana was good.
I don't know. Her explaining what happened in Menage a Trois.
Could have done without that.
Didn't need.
That's true.
I didn't know she banged that Ferengi.
That's one of my notes.
I did.
All caps. Wait, she slept with that Ferengi? Like,
she wanted to know what it would be like.
The way the episode went, it seemed like she got to the brink of that without actually committing. Listen, I don't enjoy this retcon.
She's a Pokemon trainer. She's got to catch them all. Clearly, that's what she's basically saying to Odo. She's like, I've never been with someone that could mold themselves to what I want. I've always had to mold men. So I think she just wants to fuck everybody. She wants to get a little piece of every culture. That's why it's great that she's an ambassador. Makes it easier. It opens doors for her that, otherwise would be, oh God, that's the ambassador from Firefly. Please help. Don't they call her the ambassador? What do they call her?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But yeah, you kind of... You get her whole, you've got her being her, sort of...
Lost my hairpin that's been in my family for 36 generations.
It's like, well, that's so wild. I had never heard of Latinum prior to this show.
Well, because we were only ever on, the Enterprise where it didn't matter.
Yeah, I just think it's awfully...
It is convenient.
because this is the thing. They live in a society, what do they call it? Scarcity?
Oh,
post-scarcity society. But if it was literally used everywhere else, people on the Enterprise would know about Latinum.
They might know about it, they just don't... It doesn't come up a lot.
Yeah, I know about Juan, but I don't have any.
I guess. I don't know. They just
Who's
act
Juan?
like... Wow. Ames is not pulling any punches.
Let's talk about that orgy again.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. I don't think they were pulling any punches either.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I didn't like about the Luoxana Odo moment was when he does melt, he somehow ends up in her dress in a way that through gravity wouldn't really work.
That's true.
Yeah.
She would have to
and also if he's a liquid,
scoop him up.
And also though, like he probably should have like soaked through her dress.
Well, he's very dense.
Yeah, I think he's more like a
pudding,
a glue, a goo. You know, like
is it like a jelly?
Yeah, yeah,
delicious. Yeah, I thought that was really sweet, and as I was watching it, I was like, okay, what is she's gonna put him in something, and I. Not like that. I had not a single perverted thought during this scene, but I was like, all right. I was thinking to myself, all right, is she going to put him in, what's she going to put in a dress? But then she took her wig off, and I was like, she's going to put him in her wig? That's so weird. And then, of course, she didn't put him in her wig.
That would have been more poetic.
No.
Would it? Anyway, that's my super good anecdote about watching this episode.
So how long does he need to be a goo for before he can come back to normal?
That has not been said so far.
So he has to turn into a goo every 16 hours.
Mm-hmm.
But does that mean he gets 10 hours of sleep?
Well, that's the other thing, too, is I imagine, like, he normally doesn't push himself to the brink, you know?
Well, yeah, he was very uncomfortable.
I mean, and the thing is, he says 16 hours, but then he says, I'm an hour 15, and he already looks like shit. It's like, no, you have 15 hours.
Yeah, I feel like what it probably really comes down to is 16 is his limit, but he probably normally doesn't wait that long.
It's kind of like if you have an erection for lasting more than 4
4 hours.
Congratulations.
That's an SMBC comic.
I was thinking you were going to make a reference to, like, holding your poop for too long. That's where I expected you to go with that.
He can probably hold himself in form for 16 hours under normal circumstances, but he's got this raging erection, and he's trapped in the elevator, and he's stressed out about that.
Yeah,
I imagine Loxana's there.
I imagine Odo's usual procedure is probably to, like, do little, like, breaks whenever he can, just so he can be ready at a moment's notice.
Little naps.
Yeah, like, I feel like that feels like what he would do.
Yeah, 16 hours is probably, like, the absolute max.
Yeah, and then he probably would have to be out for a while to really recover.
But he wakes up in enough time to walk off the
That's
escalator.
true.
Well, how much longer were they in there after he melted?
Didn't feel like it was probably that
like,
much longer.
It was close to the end.
I also like the writers and the production staff and all these folks. They just kind of like brushed aside, like, oh, why shouldn't his clothes have also been melting? And they're like, shut up. That would have been way more expensive. His clothing was too expensive to get the stuff on. They used an alginate that they use like as a thickener for milkshakes.
An alginate? Oh, so you're talking about like the shit that they put in McDonald's milkshakes? Because didn't they talk about how there was seaweed in milkshakes? I assume that's what alginate is.
No, I didn't notice. Were his clothes melting too, or just
that's what I just said. No,
they're not.
weren't.
Why weren't his clothes melting?
Because oh my God. Were you really not listening, or are you just being annoying?
No, I was spacing out thinking of something else when you talked to her.
Wow.
It would have been too expensive.
Oh.
To get the alginate on his clothes.
I don't know. I think they could have just made the clothes out of something else. You know?
They could,
like
or put like a plastic cover over them and put the shit on that.
Oh,
yeah.
No, I think they were worried about harming his costume. Was basically the answer.
Was this the episode? Did she call him the like thin beige line?
Yes, she did.
That's a good line.
You know what he should have done? It's like to preserve his strength, he like makes the shirt go away, and it turns out he's super buff, which is not helping his case at all.
Oh God, that scene where she was like circling his nipple through his shirt. You didn't notice?
I didn't notice.
Oh man, dear. I couldn't stop looking, but I was like, stop molesting him.
Loxana, he doesn't.
Liquid Odo smells like.
We've discussed this.
Have we?
We have.
I bet it smells like. Do you guys have gack?
That's exactly what you said.
No, that's what I said.
Oh,
said, okay.
Wow. Well, I stole your idea.
That's
it's a
okay.
Great
You can
one.
have it. It's great. It's all yours.
What do you think Liquid Odo tastes like?
Gack.
Whatever he ate last.
He doesn't eat. He doesn't have an
That's
esophagus.
what you said last. So.
No, I said that's what he. No, that is what I said.
Wow, we are super funny and interesting people.
Same jokes.
Different.
I told you it was going to be a Groundhog Day reference.
Yeah, you're right.
That was pretty
look
good.
Look at that. I'll come full fucking circle. Yeah, so no esophagus, so we know he is not faking internal organs or anything. So how does he talk?
That's a good question.
I mean, maybe he has like a sack of air inside that he just blows through it.
Bladders. It's bladders.
My body is supported by a series of fluid-filled bladders.
Didn't you do you make that reference when we were watching this at some point? Is that... I feel like maybe I messaged you and you said it. I feel like this bladders thing with Odo has come up before is all.
Was it Odo? I think it was something else we were watching.
Oh.
Futurama.
Yep.
No, was it Galaxy Quest maybe when we went to see Never Surrender?
No, I don't know what it was. But anyway, it wasn't this.
Star War.
Oh, was it a Star War? Did we watch a Star War together?
What?
Star War. So yeah, that's cool. The Julian Bashir stuff stupid. Okay, the baby in the bathwater.
The pup?
Pup.
That's dumb.
It was dumb. And I keep thinking,
they pupped up.
So the fact that they figured out with exactly no evidence that this is a life, that this is a life form that's effectively a program. I'm confused. I don't know how they figured that out. I don't know why they kept running with that idea like it was true without testing it. But okay, sure, that's a thing.
O'Brien was like, well,
I always wanted the dog.
That fella that fucked Yar is technically alive, so maybe this probe is alive.
Well, I was also like thinking, like there was a scene where he was like, "Listen to the computer," and he asked the computer.
Oh yeah,
and like they really made a big mistake by having such a computer-centric episode in an episode that also had Majel Barrett as a different character, because I kept being like, "Oh, yes. he's gonna notice that the computer sounds like Ambassador Troi."
Yeah, I was waiting for that.
Like,
oh no,
but no, that wasn't what happened.
I thought they were gonna finally acknowledge that she's been the computer since the 60s.
Yeah.
Nah, I can't do that.
So they make this analogy when they realize, it just really likes hanging out with O'Brien because it wants attention.
Which comes out of nowhere.
It likes being near where the computer is doing things, but the computer is always doing things. But okay, sure, that's a thing. Like a child or a puppy, because I think they really like the way Holmini says pup.
Probably.
Pup.
I just had a pup. I once had a pup.
And then their analogy of the doghouse does not work. Because when you put a pup in a doghouse, it's because you want to get rid of him for a while. Not because you need to have it entertained by every program that runs through the doghouse.
Yeah.
What you're doing is you're setting a child up in front of Netflix.
Yeah.
So the pup thing goes out the window. And what you're doing is you're entertaining a toddler.
What we need to get him is a squirrel. That would have been a better.
It would have been.
Big.
Oh, yeah.
I had a note that there was a moment I had to rewind because I horribly misheard a line. And I wish I had been correct. Because this moment he sits there and says, "All right, computer, listen carefully." And the first time he said it, I swear to God, I thought he said, "Listen to Curly." And I loved the idea that O'Brien refers to himself in the third person as Curly. I was like, you think I'd have remembered this? And sadly, it was listen carefully.
All right, now listen to Curly.
Imagine him and Keiko though. All right, sweetie, come here and listen to Curly.
Yeah.
So that was a highlight in this otherwise dreary B plot. C plot.
Yeah, it was rough.
No, this is the B plot. Julian was the C plot.
I have to say, just in general though, I think Loxana is hit or miss. I think ultimately more hit than miss.
Well, and I think also she's been pretty solidly hit since Half a Life.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And that blue dress, nice.
Oh my God, that was a fucking knockout.
The first dress. It looked like she was going to flop out of it, but the blue dress.
And I loved her hair. I loved the pink hair. As soon as she came out, I was like, yee!
And getting her away from Deanna.
Yeah.
Benefited her character too, because she's not just the annoying mom.
Yeah.
Now, she's struck out on her own.
But she's still the annoying horny mom.
Yeah.
At one point when she's cornered Odo was in his office or in the elevator, he just makes these weird little whimpering noises. And you're like, it's weird to see him on his back foot like this.
There's also some interesting Odo backstory info that we
that's right.
How he grew up in a
lab.
A
research subject. What the fuck is this?
And that his hairstyle is emulating the guy that was assigned to him.
Yeah.
So that's pretty sad.
Poor
thing. And the whole
he still can't manage faces.
Yeah. The really sort of the tragic life of the party thing.
Oh, that was a good line.
Oh, Odo, you want me to be a thing? I'll be a thing.
Odo, be a razor cat. I'm a razor cat.
He's broken. It's wonderful. We can't, it's what everyone wants is a broken
but
Odo.
You would think
it's not wrong.
I know he's not great at details, but you'd think he'd at least have made an effort to have a Bajorny nose. considering...
Like, I'm sure he could if he wanted, but it's probably just a lot of effort to keep those bridges in place.
Or a Kardashian spoon.
Well, and especially because he has to revert to liquid all the time. It's probably a pain in the ass to have to keep doing that shit over and over again.
In my notes, I wrote, so every 6 hours, Odo turns into a liquid. So does Loaxana, if you know what I mean.
She does it much more frequently.
Is it wet in here, or is it just you?
It's definitely just you.
Oh no.
Yeah, like once they kind of hit the brakes on the wacky and got to the serious, it really
Oh yeah.
It really is a shame.
The both of them being vulnerable at each other.
Oh, it was
really,
so
really
nice.
Yeah.
I loved it. I was like crying a little bit, just a little.
Like it's like you said, it's kind of a shame that these scenes are in an episode that at large is mostly just like.
Yeah, I was looking at it being like, how is there a way that we could have cut all of the other stuff and just had these scenes?
Yeah.
And the answer is yes. If you want your episode to be 5 minutes long, that's fine. I'm like, yeah, do that.
I mean, they could have done better shit.
Yeah.
The computer pop, like, it was literally just a way to break the elevator.
Yep.
And it was
and
like...
I'm certain we'll never hear from Pup again, even though Miles has now adopted a dog. Forever and ever.
I mean, he's got a kid. How often do we see her? Just saying.
Got a wife. How do we see her?
Yeah.
Way too often.
Agreed.
Well, it's okay. She's leaving. She's taking the kids on a field trip next week anyway. So.
Oh yeah, I made a note about that. We'll get to that in the next episode.
Well, speaking of
Jesus, better her than me.
So yeah, I think Forsaken, okay, middle of the road.
It had a really, really good element.
It's
nothing else.
It's one of those episodes that, if not for that, like, it's an episode that should be way worse, but its average is dragged up by like that one really good thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, another episode that happened is Dramatis Personae. In this episode, as just recently mentioned, Keiko and the children have left to get them out of the picture for the episode.
It's what the grain processing plant.
Also called a mill. Yeah, so they're not around. But there's Kira's really concerned about this ship that's going to come in and might be transporting weapons. But Cisco's like, hey, let's just chill.
I'm sure it's fine. Let's wait and see.
But then out of nowhere,
Cisco.
a Klingon ship comes out of the wormhole and it's on fire, yo. So they
just like that dude in the 2 episodes ago last week.
So it's going to explode, but they manage to beam one guy off, who then promptly dies on the bridge of Deep Space Nine. Tragically. And that's the end of that.
And
Victory!
And none of them even...
Well, because none of them were Klingons. They didn't know.
I'm surprised Dax didn't do that, though. You know? She knows what's up.
Does she?
I think so.
Why does Dax... She's not married to Worf yet.
No, but Curzon's a big
when did you
Klingon,
find this out?
Klingon
I've known
fan.
that for a long time.
But anyway, shit's going down. Everything seems fine. But then, people start acting
Odo randomly passes out.
Yeah, Odo gets a little tweaked.
That was very upsetting. I really didn't care for that.
He had a splitting headache.
Well, it turns out that they all just got downloaded some alien database, some alien history book that's going to get everybody that was on the bridge play acting out this power struggle, which takes the form of Kira getting really, really upset about this alien ship, and Cisco getting really, really into timekeeping, and O'Brien really into fucking over Kira.
O'Brien really into fascism.
And
he went from 0 to racist as fuck immediately. It was holy shit.
He had the brownest nose.
Dax is really into just being dumb and tired, and Julian is something. But yeah, so everyone who was on the bridge except for Odo, who clearly the database didn't work on him because he doesn't have a brain. Everyone else gets kind of fucked up by it, and they start plotting against each other. Oh my god! And it seems really bad. And there's a power struggle on board.
Power play was a much better episode.
Same episode, in fact. In the end.
Tell your neighbor to shut the fuck up.
Elsa!
Hey, lady, let it go. That's an Elsa joke.
I got it. He lures him into the cargo bay, and Odo opens the door, and nobody gets blowed out except for the aliens.
Well, so first he has Julian suck the ghosts out of their heads.
Oh, yeah.
He Julian suck the ghosts
tricks
off?
Julian into being like, you can get your own power struggle base
thing
if you do this for me.
Cool.
So basically, Odo has to do his play a part. He has to trick Julian, and Odo's playing all the sides. He's playing both sides. Everyone thinks Odo's on their side, but in reality,
whose side is Bashir on?
he seems to be.
He's on all sides.
I think he's on Bashir's side.
Yeah.
I was thinking he seemed like Switzerland and was just kind of keeping it neutral.
Well, no, because
he was selling drugs to both sides.
Yeah, no, I think he was waiting to see how it shook out.
Where did you get that piece of placemat?
Oh, ages ago. That's why I made a face at one point.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to see how it plays out. What?
For those of you at home, Jake has snapped this latest piece into 2 pieces.
All right, let's see it.
And he has now skewered it through his beard in an X formation.
So Julian's just kind of biding his time to see how it shakes out, and he's going to just go with whoever wins.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much how mad scientists always pick their side. They just...
So a bunch of shit happens. It's not great.
But then Cisco has a fucking banging clock at the end.
He does have a dope-ass clock.
I have
really
said
nice.
I'm going to keep an eye out to see if that's like in the background from here on out.
It will. I hear that it will be.
Nice.
In his office.
This is his Resican flute.
Well, I was thinking it was his Livingston.
Or that.
But I guess it's also...
It's his Livingston flute.
But yeah.
Alright, so yeah, this one confounded me a little bit.
This one sucked.
This episode? Yeah. Not good, no.
Yeah. It basically just... I get the idea could be a great idea. All the decisions that were made, like, let's make Dax lethargic.
That didn't make any sense.
Why?
I like that she, like, went full old man. She just wanted naps and to tell stories, and no one would let her tell her stories.
Well, I mean, presumably, I assumed that they were all taking on, like...
Personalities?
Personalities of the crew.
But who was the weird lethargic person?
I don't know, dude.
Someone
it's a bunch of Klingons. It's a bunch of Klingons we don't know.
No, that's not even them.
No, the Klingons had the same problem. They also got downloaded.
The Klingons found these...
Energy orbs?
Spheres? It's always
Time
orbs,
crystals?
isn't it? Yeah, they found these orbs from the Sultana, an ancient race that had destroyed themselves in a power struggle. And I guess I wrote down, the spheres have their telepathic imprints that can make people reenact the mutiny. So it's a lot, it's very Eye of the Beholder, but then I looked it up and realized that Eye of the Beholder happened after this.
Which one's Eye of the Beholder again?
Eye of the Beholder is the one where Quan kills himself and then Troi catches...
Oh!
Where suicide is contagious.
Yeah. Suicide's contagious.
But it also reminded me a lot of Power Play.
But those were actually aliens.
They were actual aliens, but again, it had O'Brien acting like a dickhead.
Right, that was the one where Data and Troi? Yeah, got possessed. Yeah. They didn't possess Riker because his arm got a boo-boo.
Yep. But apparently, in filming that episode, I think we talked about this, Troi broke her coccyx.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Oh.
Forgot about that.
Why do you remember that?
I don't know. I just remember that being like, in the show, Riker gets hurt, but she actually got seriously injured filming that stunt.
Like, this is another one where it was like the one saving grace of the whole episode is even briefer than the saving grace of the last one, where it was like watching Odo figure out how he needed to play Julian to get him to do what he wanted within the parameters he had. It's like him, like, that was kind of neat. Watching him figure out, these are the rules I have to work within. How do I make the... If more of the episode had been Odo figuring out and working within these boundaries...
Most of the episode is Odo detectiving it up and figuring out what's going on.
Yeah, but in a like...
It's all the rest of it that I found silly and not interesting.
I think really this was a showcase for the actors because they all...
That's kind of what they build it as.
I think they all did a really good job playing these alternate...
Dax just got to be lazy.
Yeah, but again, I mean...
But that was within her range, frankly.
Yeah. It's not a ton of range. We've seen lazy Dax in Dax.
That is one thing. It's like...
That was they just had the cardboard cutout and they couldn't film it.
The story was... But it was, I'll admit, fun watching them get to play outside their usual roles.
Oh yeah, watching like power play Kira is pretty great. She's awesome.
Yeah, she was good. I think like Cisco was kind of like this weird manic, distracted guy.
You know who they based Cisco on, or what I read that they
based Cisco on Avery Brooks.
I don't get it.
Because Avery Brooks is
just kind of weird,
a very eccentric guy.
Ow!
I would believe that since he has finished Star Trek, like he actually does just make clocks for shits and giggles.
No, they made him to seem like a quirky, obsessive, and I wrote down Emperor Rudolph. So I started looking into Emperor Rudolph today, who was a
he had a shiny nose.
They never
right?
let him play reindeer games.
Nice.
No. So Holy Roman Emperor Rudolph, who reigned 1576 to 1612, when his brother ousted him because he was doing a shitty job.
I'm sorry, 15 when?
76 to 1612.
That's a
decent
good
run.
long time for a fucking emperor.
Well, apparently
Shit.
he sucked.
Surprising again, because that's a pretty good run.
And they blame him for the 30 Years' War in Central Europe.
Oh.
But the important thing that we want to know about him is that he was notoriously obsessed with astrology and alchemy. To the point that he barely did any ruling and mostly spent a lot of his life trying to find the Philosopher's Stone.
Cool.
Nice.
Harry Potter fan, huh?
So that's what I read about today.
Contemporaneous with like
a lot
Caravaggio
of other
and the
dead
Medici.
assholes.
That's interesting.
I do want that clock.
It's a nice clock.
Same. They should definitely make that. It would be real expensive. That's what you should 3D print, Jake. Figure that out.
But
No
problem.
I said grain processing center?
Yes.
Yeah, I did. Good.
That was a weird and pointless thing.
Keiko sucks at field trips.
Like we didn't need to know where they were. I wouldn't have wondered.
No. Yeah, really.
Yeah, no one was saying, "Hey, we saw Keiko the other week. We want more of her." No.
And it's weird because they normally don't try to explain where she is when we don't see her.
Yeah, they only had to explain when Miles was gone for a while, and that made sense.
Yeah, because we would have cared. Like, where's Curly?
I mean, would we?
Listen to Curly.
But here's the thing, though, right? I feel like part of that might have just been to avoid a 100% repeat of Power Play, because a big chunk of that was Miles scaring the shit out of Keiko. And if he had done the same thing again, she might actually divorce him.
And I guess, too, to explain why Jake wasn't around.
Yeah, Jake would have been freaked out.
Because Cisco did spend a lot of time in his quarters building his clock. Which, that was another problem. They claimed that it was just affecting anyone who'd been in ops at the time. Mm-hmm. But there were a lot of people involved in this mutiny who had clearly not been in ops.
They just jumped onto a mutiny because it looked fun.
Like those Starfleet security dudes.
Well, they were just, maybe, if... Well, the other thing, too, is like...
And Kira's the guy on Kira's side that gets that...
poison dart or whatever.
Well, here's the thing, though. I would believe that the Bajorans were ready for, mutiny some shit.
At any time.
Yeah, well, I mean, not just because we've seen how many of them are still, fucking wacko terrorists, but partly because it's, their station, and I'm sure plenty of them resent the shit out of Starfleet for being there.
I just honestly think the writers forgot they had that line about it just being the ops people.
I mean, they had to explain why, Quark wasn't affected, and, why the whole fucking station wasn't affected. Because that would have been too
and they didn't want to do it doesn't seem to affect Ferengi again. Yeah. I feel like that's been a thing.
Well, we've already had an episode where both Quark and Odo were immune to the weird shit of the week when the aphasia virus.
Babel, right?
Well, and actually, the Majel episode, she couldn't read him or something.
Well, that's long been established that Beta Zed's...
Well, I didn't remember.
Her people can't read Ferengi. I've already forgotten.
And also...
Also, Ferengi-like species.
Species somehow related.
Okay, question. So, Odo passes out after his head kind of goes wibbly-wobbly. Mm-hmm. Why did that happen?
I think it was because he had the alien database in him, but this
was well after they were exposed in Ops.
Yeah, I just don't
He was in the bar.
I think it was just, it had maybe been trying and finally gave up.
Yeah.
Because it couldn't find his brain.
Yeah, I got very confused.
All spread throughout him like a starfish.
Yeah. Could have gone into Quark. He was there. How this thing spreads? Does it spread? Because it got into Ops because our Klingon friend, I go to his name, Han Till, comes on and it's contagious or some shit.
Well, it's only one Klingon, but everybody's there, apparently, or something. It's really ill again, like the last one. Last one? No, like the imagination one last week.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it feels like...
If wishes
were horses. If wishes were horses, feels like the writers didn't quite know what the rules were themselves. And I think that's part of the reason the story sort of faltered, because, like, they didn't seem to have a clear grasp on their own setup.
Right, and even after Odo passes out, he goes to Med Bay with Bashir. Does Bashir have any idea how to treat a changeling?
Apparently not.
Does anyone have any idea how to treat a changeling?
Maybe that guy he grew up with.
Like, what's even the point? It's like, well, there's this thing that's made of goo. We don't know what he's doing right now.
This thing that's made of goo.
Well, I did a scan of you, Odo, and
you're made of goo.
You're still goo. Still goo. Big time.
Apparently, you can shunt part of yourself into subspace.
I like that detail. It's hilarious. I thought Julian was doing a better job being weird than he was in... What's the one with Bantica?
That Dracula episode?
Well, because he didn't...
I wish he would have done that.
He didn't have to redub his lines later, so...
Yeah. Actually, he did. All the lines in this episode, he just went blah, 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 and then they had to redub. They were like, no, that was too much Dracula.
That's the secret, actually. The whole first season they had to redub because they filmed every episode. They're like, all right, Siddig, could you do a really bad Bela Lugosi for this character?
Blah.
And then they realized it was a terrible idea.
He just kept making the mistake over and over again. I kind of love that.
That's it. It's everyone. Everyone was doing a bad Bela Lugosi for every... They had to completely re-record everyone. This is our station, Captain Sisko. That was a bad Italian accent. I apologize.
Bela Lugosi is Italian.
Was he?
Lugosi sounds Italian,
yeah.
Bella is an Italian name.
I guess it means beautiful, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That sounds right.
Cool. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the only real redeeming quality of this episode to me was some of the performances I thought were solid, but like the story was meh. It felt played.
Yeah, Odo's a good detective. Quark was his good little henchman sidekick. I liked when Kira fucking threw Quark over the bar. That was
God. It was hysterical when he was like, he showed up in his little Ferengi neck brace.
And it was like totally like...
I want satisfaction!
It was totally the stereotype of the guy showing up in court with the thing on. Because as soon as Odo left, he was... Quark was fine. He's like, I want the man satisfaction!
Also, apparently...
Then he re-straightened it. No, my neck hurts.
Bela Lugosi was a stage name. His birth name was Bela Ferenc Deso Blasco. I apologize, because I'm sure I'm butchering that. He was Romanian.
Oh, Romanian.
Oh, appropriate.
Yeah, no, it was mostly just the plot was bizarre and bad and stuff.
Okay,
They were counting on us enjoying watching everyone be weird.
Yeah.
Which I did. I did enjoy it.
They can suck a telepathic matrix out of your head.
And then
blow it into space.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
You just hold on to a box.
Yeah.
Yeah, the holding onto the boxes thing. Hold on to something secure, like these fucking boxes that would literally be blown out into space immediately.
Like, he should have, turned into some kind of big space python and just kind of bound them all to a central pillar himself or something.
Yeah, we don't see him change as often as before.
That's expensive.
Yeah. I don't know, this was the bodiliest of bottle episodes. So.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I loved that. It's like, so apparently ghosts can just get sucked out in airlock now, alright.
Yep, that's a thing.
That's fine.
Didn't even do that in Power Play. And that we had to beam them into space.
Yeah.
In Disaster, they had to blow some boxes into space to put out a fire.
Oh, I like the rainbow drink.
Oh, yeah, that was really nice.
Although it definitely looked like it was solid material, and only the
too.
blue stuff was.
Yeah, it was meant to look like he was making a float, but in fact, it was just bullshit. I thought the same thing, and I'm glad that Oh, fuck me! What was it? Oh, damn it! I think I missed my chance to talk about Cole Meany's stupid little ladder.
What?
What
is this from?
One of the episodes, and it was either Forsaken. Or
the ones from last week.
Yeah, it could be from last week.
But there's
a scene where he's there's a scene where he's on the bridge and he's getting back to his station, but he goes down literally a 3-rung ladder, and it's the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. I was like, why? Why is this stupid ladder there?
It was there for Rumpelstiltskin.
There's like a little pit on the bridge where it's like
Cardassian design is weird.
Yeah.
But like it just feels like just put one step would be better than this fucking stupid tiny little dumbass ladder.
See, steps take up a lot of lateral room though. Ladders don't take up any room because they go vertical.
They're just dumb. It was so dumb. I was like, why is this happening? Why are you showing this poor prick turning around, going down a couple little fucking ladder rungs, and then it was so foolish.
Geordi got a whole fucking elevator
and a door to dive under.
No, you listen. I don't know.
So like O'Brien is lucky to get that damn ladder.
It looks dumb though. Dumb.
Yeah, the clock was cool though.
I did like my note. I forgot I took this note when Ben activates the clock at the end. His expression to me was like, "Fuck, I'm good at clocks. I'm in the wrong field."
I don't know. He's no longer good at clocks is the problem.
I'm telling myself that what's going to happen is now in his spare time, he's going to try to learn how to do it on his own.
Next step, he's going to get Jake to set him up an Etsy shop.
I love that I read that. So they build this gorgeous clock and they bring it to Ronald D. Moore. Ronald D. Moore? Somebody. I want to say Moore. Like, look, we built a clock for the show. And he looks at it, he's like, yeah, good job. Can you make it spin? And they're like, probably.
Nice. But it's like I said, it's like his Resican Livingston. He's gonna, it's like Picard had to relearn the flute. He'll learn from scratch how to make clocks, or at least he'll try. He'll start off simple. He's like, Dad, I'm making a birdhouse. Gonna work my way up to a clock. Everyone gets birdhouses for Life Day that year, or whatever the Star Trek Christmas is.
Whatever happened with the fucking ship with the weapons grade bullshit on it?
Oh God,
the Valerian ship? Kira bolted them to the side of the station.
I know. Did they
we'll never know.
I know. Like, that was the real...
That was something I had trouble dealing with.
What a MacGuffin that was, huh?
Because I think it was supposed to be Dolomite.
Yes.
But it sounded like they said Dolomite the first time.
Dolomite.
And all I could think of was that movie, which... I've not seen it, but it was recently sort of...
What movie?
Dolomite.
That's a movie?
Yeah, a 1975 blaxploitation comedy.
Oh, really?
Which, it's always been sort of a cult thing. It became somewhat relevant again recently because Netflix did an original movie about the making of Dolomite, which I guess the character and the film were creation of a comedian named Rudy Ray Moore, I believe. So yeah, they made a biopic about him. Eddie Murphy was like his manager in the movie or something. But yeah, it's like the guy created this sort of parodic blaxploitation character and made a movie, and it's a big cult thing now. So that's why I was just sitting there like every time they talked about it, I was like, you really should have called it something else. And I looked into it. The thing is, there is actually a mineral called Dolomite. No, I think it's actually Dolomite.
Oh.
So Dolomite, the character is Dolemite, but Dolomite, the mineral, is Dolomite. So it's all really weird, but all I could think of was the movie.
I don't. You weren't looking at me, but while you were talking, my head just did the thing that Odo's head did.
Which thing? Oh, exploded.
So the last notes I have are the working title of The Forsaken was Only the Lonely. Wow. After the song. Yeah. And the working title of Dramatis Personae was Ritual Sacrifice. They're all still bad. I haven't been a big fan of the DS9 titles. Almost none of them have stuck.
Only the Lonely's a little on the nose, but it would have been better. Because I assumed The Forsaken was supposed to be Pup? Because it had been abandoned?
Odo had a handler. I don't fucking know.
I meant to mention that when we were talking about it. I forgot, but yeah. Only the Lonely, again, a bit on the nose, but would have been better.
There are better titles I'm sure they could have found.
Well.
Stuck in the Middle with You. I don't know. Wanted to go with the song.
Love in an Elevator?
There we go. Goo goo gachoo.
That's actually really good.
All I could think of with this,
sign.
When I was taking my notes, I was like, at one point, I was like, it's like they've all got mirror universe disease. It's like they wanted to do the mirror universe, but decided not to, so they just gave everyone a disease where they'd be all schemy.
Except Dax.
Except Dax was sleepy.
Sleepy Dax.
Yeah, I thought, really, if that was the only choice that they had not fucked up, I might have liked this episode more. Because everyone else being schemy, sure, fine.
Yeah.
Fun to watch schemes. But Dax deciding to be, like, whatever.
I mean, maybe, like...
What?
What do you think? Did the alien device also affect the symbiont too?
Maybe that was the issue. Was like it was confused.
Was like Jadzia all sleepy and Dax is like kill.
Well, I mean that's what the dual brain thing was fucking it up. But rather than be immune like Odo, it just made her lethargic and want to tell tales.
Remember that time I shit myself on the bridge? Oh, that was now.
Oh no!
I did enjoy watching Cole Meany go like full fascist. He just ran with that.
Oh my
God!
God!
What side are you on?
When he bitch slapped Dax,
that was a good slap.
I was like, "Holy shit!"
I like
and she didn't give a shit either. She passes out and then she wakes up and she's like,
and she kind of touching her face like, did something happen?
Oh,
I
no.
forgot to
It's
turn
like
off
in
the
Tommy Boy
transporters.
when he's got the big like wood. It doesn't hurt here or here, but right here.
No, I don't see anything.
No, I don't see anything there. It's just Cole Meany's
Boy.
tiny little handprint.
Yes.
Cole Meany have tiny hands.
I don't know. He does now.
We got to hear a log from O'Brien.
That's right, we did, but evil O'Brien.
Ooh, the only good O'Brien.
I really didn't like it.
That would be great. Evil O'Brien is like trying to get information out of somebody. Listen to Curly.
There's your title for this
Listen
episode.
to Curly.
God.
The Legend of Curly's Gold.
That's what he called his pubes.
Oh. Well, on that note, take us away, Caitlin.
If you liked this episode,
Nope.
and I don't know why you would
I liked
have.
Majel. Majel was good.
Oh, that's true. I loved Majel. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So thanks for listening to this episode. If you
Please come back after this.
I mean,
It wasn't our fault. Look what
We're
DS9
pretty
gave
sure
us.
next week's going to be better.
Is next week the wrap?
next week is
Next week's a wrap of season
Oh, shit.
1.
Duet and In the Hands of the Prophet.
In
I
the
think
hands
prophets.
of the prophet.
In the Hands of the Prophets. In the meantime, if you can't wait till next week, you can check us out on some other websites. First of all, our podcast is found wherever fine podcasts are sold. You can find us on SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. Haha, I almost said Apple Tunes. God damn it, Jake. You can also check us out on Facebook. Go to Facebook, type in A Star to Steer Her By, press enter, you'll find us. Or you can click on the little magnifying glass, your choice. You can also find us on Tumblr and Twitter at SSHB Podcast, or you can visit us at our home on the web at sshbpodcast.com, which is, as a side note, is just our Tumblr now. But that's great because you
Watch it not be. I bet you Jake randomly made it an actual website and just hasn't told us.
No.
I was gonna say, really?
He actually has a
really? Do you think that?
to
He does, though.
Pornhub
The thing
now.
is, he does that kind of thing all the time.
Does he? Well, he doesn't do it for us, obviously.
I mean, he did have the website for years and forgot to mention it.
That's true.
That did happen.
Of course, if you're listening to this in the far future, who knows? Maybe it is a website now. You might not be listening to this live. I'm probably not. I'm a few weeks behind.
Cool.
Oh my god, my brain just stopped.
I watched as it happened.
What's up, Dax?
The light went out of your eyes.
There's a major
Total
penny on
reboot.
my track. All right. So, thank you for joining us. I, as always, have been Caitlin.
Jake.
This has been Curly.
and this is always Ames. Long live Emperor Rudolph.